What's up everyone, and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Jon Jones demanding $40 to $50 million for Tom Aspinall fight. Back in January, there were reports that Jon Jones wanted $30 million to fight Tom Aspinall. Although Dana White shut down the rumors, Colby Covington is now alleging that Jones is asking for $40 to $50 million to fight the interim champ. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video to help support the channel. According to Covington, Jones is ducking Aspinall by pricing himself out of negotiations. I don't think Jon is fighting him, he's ducking. He's asking for an unreasonable price. You don't draw money to the company like that. I think he'll end up retiring. After meeting with the UFC brass, however, Aspinall's feeling pretty confident that the fight winds up happening. During Monday's episode of the Ariel Helwani show, he gave fans an update. "We had a nice meal and we talked everything through. Hunter has always been extremely personable and reasonable with me. I can't say what he's like with other people. I don't know, but with me and my team, he's been nothing but hospitable and fantastic. We had a fantastic meeting. Everything went amazing, and I understand my position now. I understand what the company's doing now. And you've got to stay tuned, my friend. There's some big news coming. After the meeting, I'm feeling very optimistic about things. I'm in a really good spot with everything and my future moving forward. I think it's exciting, man. Really exciting times." Aspinall also made it clear that regardless of whether his next fight is against Jones or not, he will not be defending the interim title.
But you have said you're not defending that title ever again, right? You're either fighting Jon Jones or the next time you fight it's for undisputed against someone else. And you said that in the video. I'm assuming you shared that in the meeting and that was met well.
That is correct. That is correct. Yeah. The UFC know where I stand with that. And that is correct.
According to the interim champion, if Jones is demanding $30 million for the fight, he thinks he deserves it, given his career accomplishments. I would agree with the notion that he deserves every penny he makes, because he's done everything in the sport. In the meantime, Aspinall was totally unfazed by the F. Tom Aspinall chants at Mike Perry's Dirty Boxing event. During his appearance on the Ariel Helwani show, he joked, "He looks a bit uncomfortable there. He looks a bit awkward." Even if the fight gets signed, Robert Whittaker isn't confident that it actually happens, even if Jones gets his wish for a 6-month training camp. During the latest episode of his MMA Arcade podcast, he said, "At this point right now, I kind of see Jon Jones trolling the hell out of Tom Aspinall. I see him signing it, doing 5 months, and then retiring. I think he's trolling him at this point." If the fight does happen, it could wind up being the biggest fight in heavyweight history. Magomed reacts to Joe Rogan's comments. We reported yesterday that Joe Rogan revealed he's hearing Alex Pereira fought Magomed Ankalaev with a broken hand and a virus. In response, Magomed took to social media and reacted. Here's what he said. Joe Rogan mentioned his team said that Alex fought with a broken hand and norovirus. When fighters step in the cage, nobody is 100%. I was offered a rematch with him in August and I said yes, but if he is not ready, I will fight whoever is next. It doesn't matter. Along with responding to Joe Rogan, Magomed revealed that Alex Pereira was offered the rematch for August, but according to Magomed, Alex isn't ready. Magomed is also willing to accept another matchup in the meantime. Do you want to see Ankalaev defend his title before rematching Alex Pereira? Or is the rematch the only thing the UFC should be booking next? Let us know down in the comment section. Kamaru Usman talks about next UFC fight. Recently, Kamaru Usman and Henry Cejudo's Pound for Pound podcast saw Usman talk about his ideal opponents in order. If Usman had to pick, he would want Sean Brady as his first choice. And if that's not possible, then Shavkat Rakhmonov or Joaquin Buckley. Here's what he had to say.
Honestly, to what makes sense would be, if I had to pick the order, I would say Brady, Shavkat, Buckley. That's what makes sense, because Brady, winner of Brady and I, we fight for the title next. Because if you look at what Sean Brady just did, you just took out a former champion. And then you fight another former champion, and if you're able, which he's not going to be, but if he's able to get through me, it's hard to deny him that he shouldn't fight for the title. Yeah. Who else in the division has a resume like that? No one, if Brady's able to do that.
Leon Edwards should fight Ian Garry next? After being submitted for the first time in his professional career, Leon Edwards now finds himself sitting on the outside looking in at the UFC's welterweight title picture. The way Michael Bisping sees things, considering Edwards is fresh off a short notice fight against a wrestler, the fair thing to do is to give him a fight against a fighter with a similar style to his original opponent for the London card, Jack Della Maddalena. During an interview with TNT Sports, he name-dropped Ian Garry as a potential opponent. I think the Ian Garry matchup, because I think Leon deserves to go out there and fight someone that's going to give him a stylistically favorable matchup. I don't mean a winnable fight, but not a nightmare scenario where another guy is trying to take him down. Give him what JDM would have been. I think the biggest opponent for Leon Edwards now, though, is going to be himself. What's going on in his head? Does he accept that? Okay, I was just beaten by really high-level grapplers, maybe the 2 best grapplers in the division. And I'm still 33 years old. I haven't slowed down. I haven't gotten injuries. I'm not riddled with arthritis. While Garry was not interested in fighting Edwards in London, it sounds like he's willing to throw down with anyone this summer on the International Fight Week card. During a recent Q&A video, he went on record as saying, I don't care who they want to put in front of me. I just want to fight and prove that I'm the best in the world. Considering Edwards is fresh off a training camp, it'll be interesting to see if he wants to jump right back into a camp for a fight in late June. MMA community reacts to Cain Velasquez sentence. On Monday, Cain Velasquez was handed a 5-year sentence for his 2022 case. While the prosecutors in the case were seeking a sentence of 30 years to life in prison, a teary-eyed judge, Bocanegra, sentenced the former champion to 5 years with credit for time served. With the time Velasquez spent in jail and the time he served while under house arrest, he's already accrued 1,283 days served, or 3.5 years. Given that, it looks like the former champion will serve less than 2 years, or even less with good behavior, according to MMA Fighting's Damon Martin. Just to clear up any confusion, Cain Velasquez gets credit for time in jail and time he was on house arrest, so that's where it's approximately 3 years. With good behavior, Cain will undoubtedly spend far less than 2 years in prison, could end up being a year. According to NBC's Ian Garry, Cain's attorneys are predicting he serves less than 1 year. Update: Cain Velasquez's attorney expects he'll serve 1 year because he'll get credit for time served in jail and the time he did at home with an ankle monitor. MMA Junkie's Nolan King relayed a statement from Santa Clara County DA Jeff Rosen, who was quoted as saying, "One man's decision to take the law into his own hands left an innocent man wounded and endangered school children, teachers, and many others in our community. If you want to do justice in Santa Clara County, please apply for a badge." The MMA community was quick to weigh in on the sentence. Ali Abdelaziz said, "This is why I will never live in California. They tried to give this man 30 years for protecting his family, and the person who violated his family is still walking the streets." Khabib Nurmagomedov reacted to the situation on his Instagram story by writing, "Stay strong, Lion." Bryce Mitchell reacted with the video on social media.
Pardon Cain Velasquez and put these child. That's what I would do. That's what I would do if I was in charge, brother. I promise you that on everything.
Michael Chiesa also weighed in. Cain shouldn't serve any jail time. In the heat of the moment, what man wouldn't have a lapse in judgment to protect his family? The focus should be on the man that committed crimes much worse than what Cain did. I'm thankful he only has to serve 5 years instead of 30. In response to the news, Oban Elliott replied, "Well, if that's the case, all in all, a good result when you consider how the justice system is. Absolutely gutted for Cain and his family. You'll be out in no time, champ. You are forever a legend to us and a hero to your family." Ariel Helwani added, "Heartbroken for Cain and his family." Chris Weidman said, "This is awful." Overdog's podcast co-host Mac Malley reacted with, "It's not walking free, but at least he got credit for time served. He'll have to spend 1.5 years in prison. That's still too much, but this is one of the better possible outcomes." Plenty of other MMA community members like Gilbert Burns, Jorge Masvidal, Darren Till, and Joanna Jędrzejczyk, as well as Anthony Pettis, also shared their support using the hashtag #FreeCain. Roman Dolidze fires back at Robert Whittaker's comments. Roman Dolidze might have picked up a big win over Marvin Vettori at the Apex and avenged his UFC 286 loss to the Italian Dream. But that doesn't mean everyone was impressed with the win. On his MMA Arcade podcast, Robert Whittaker compared Dolidze's win to a bar fight while revealing that he actually turned the 5-round main event off after the first round and a half. The comments didn't sit well with Dolidze, who fired back at the former champ during an interview with Home of Fight.
This is the talking guy who he was knocked out a couple times and he got destroyed in his last fight. It's even funny for me to listen something from a guy like that. Yes, listen, you are speaking too loud. You need to prove that you are so tough. If you are on your downfall, it doesn't mean that if you are scared to say like normal words and speak normally, he's not a person from whom I can take words like that, you know. Too loud for him to speak like that. We already saw what he is capable to do.
Despite the back and forth between the two, don't expect them to settle things inside the octagon anytime soon. While reacting to Dolidze's win over Vettori, Whittaker said that he's all in on a fight with Sean Strickland at International Fight Week, and only has his sights set on top 5 opponents as he looks to work his way back into title contention. Sean Brady talks about next UFC fight. With his win over Leon Edwards on Saturday in London, Sean Brady now finds himself ranked inside the top 5 at welterweight. During the Ariel Helwani show on Monday, Brady was asked what's next for him after the biggest win of his career. Considering JDM is already scheduled to fight for the belt, Brady thinks that a fight between him and Shavkat makes sense. Could be me versus Shavkat because I don't know what they're going to do with him. You know how it is. They say you might fight for the belt next, but you never know. So I think it could be me and him, #1 contender. Or like if Belal lost to Jack somehow, I would love to fight him. If Belal wins, I would love to fight him. If they want me to fight for the belt, whoever wins, obviously I'm going to do that. But I don't think there's a need for me to take a step back. While we've seen plenty of instances where there's some animosity between fighters during fight week, then the two sides squash things post-fight. That wasn't the case here. On the heels of the win, Brady took aim at the former champion for how he acted leading up to and after the fight. Personally, Leon, him and his whole team. That's how I feel about the whole situation. I'm like, yo man, you're a great champion. He just kind of like brushed me off. Obviously he's upset, but even his whole team, they were corny as too. So it was just whack. He's just salty. Then seeing all the he was saying about me throughout the week, I wish I was even meaner to this dude. So far, Edwards' team hasn't shared their side of the story regarding the post-fight exchange. Paddy Pimblett breaks silence on Molly McCann retirement. On Saturday's Edwards-Brady card on London, Meatball Molly McCann stepped into the octagon against Alexia Tainara in hopes of bouncing back from a decision loss to Bruna Brazil back in July. Instead, McCann was submitted for the 4th time in her professional career. In the wake of the loss, which dropped her record to 1-4 over her last 5 fights, Meatball Molly announced her retirement from the sport. During her retirement interview with ESPN, after the fight, she explained that the performance against the short-notice opponent, making her UFC debut, left her feeling as though walking away was the right move. In a heartfelt post on Instagram the day after the loss, Paddy Pimblett reacted to McCann's retirement. Heartbreaking night last night watching my big sister retire. Been there with her from the start and will always be there. This may be the end of her fighting career, but it's far from the end of mine and her friendship. That's till do us part. UK MMA women's legend, first English woman to get a win in the UFC and has one of the best knockouts in women's UFC and combat sports history. Her legacy will live on forever. Emotional isn't even the word for last night, but even when I was crying, the meatball will never fail to make me laugh when she said, haven't done bad for a bad who was working in Subway, have I love you and always will, me big sis. Given how big of a star she is in the UK, expect to see her cage side the next time the UFC heads to London. Ilia Topuria responds to Charles Oliveira again and reveals a new change. As we reported yesterday, Charles Oliveira is not interested in fighting Ilia Topuria because Oliveira feels he deserves a title shot next. Oliveira also talked about how he feels it's not fair to reward someone with an instant title shot after changing weight divisions. Today, during a media interview in Spain, a reporter asked if Topuria would go on a walk with Charles Oliveira in Toledo after the comments he made about him jumping the line for a title shot. Here's what he said. Actually, yes, to give him a bit of culture and teach him something, because it's obvious that kid hasn't even read a single page of a newspaper. Another question, please, because this isn't a good time to talk about someone like him. Ahead of his lightweight move, Ilia Topuria revealed that he would be changing his identity from El Matador to something else. Today, he revealed his new nickname ahead of his lightweight move. Ilia Topuria revealed he'll be going by La Leyenda, which means the legend. He said the following after revealing his new nickname. You need to see to believe. I first believe it, then I see it. So the nickname that will accompany me in my next fight will be The Legend. What do you guys think about this new nickname? Let us know down in the comment section. Speaking of Ilia Topuria, the City Council of Toledo, which is a city in Spain, revealed a street that will be named after him as a way of honoring Topuria's success. Ilia reacted to the news during an interview saying the following. It fills me with emotion that I have been given this privilege in a city like Toledo, which has welcomed 3 cultures. Having a street here for me is an honor. It's for me and my whole family. I feel incredibly grateful because these days don't happen every day. I related to my emotions because I had to go through a long journey to reach this day.